Baker Mayfield. Wow! The ultimate divisive figure when it comes to quarterbacking. This is Sports Guy talking that you guys are watching and listening to. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am here today to talk about Baker Mayfield winning the starting job for the Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield is currently on his fourth NFL team, as this should be his final chance to be an NFL starter. Todd Bowles is now hedging his future on Baker Mayfield being successful for the Buccaneers. Before I say anything else, though, I want to present you guys with a topic question. So, here it is. What is your reaction to Baker Mayfield being named the starter for the Buccaneers? My thoughts on this matter is that it is a massive mistake by Todd Bowles and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I understand that Baker Mayfield played pretty well in that first preseason game against the Steelers, while he didn't play in the second preseason game. But based on what we've seen with Baker Mayfield throughout his NFL career, we've seen Baker Mayfield be able to have some highs, some really high highs, by the way. I think he's got some really low lows. When you talk about Baker Mayfield, this man has led the NFL in interceptions in the last 5 seasons. And look, I get it. Turnovers are part of the game. Throwing a lot of picks if you're a gunslinger, I get all of that. But Baker Mayfield is not even producing in the other areas to make you say, wow, this guy is a great passer of the football. When you look at Baker Mayfield's skill set, what the heck does Baker Mayfield do so well that makes you say, wow, this guy's a former #1 overall pick? I can tell this guy is just so talented. And honestly, I don't see anything that stands out with Baker Mayfield in a good way. Baker Mayfield has a good arm, but he doesn't have elite arm strength. He doesn't have the arm of Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen. He actually has a really solid arm. The problem with that, though, is his arm is not anywhere near elite enough to cover up his flaws. I also know that Baker Mayfield is not accurate with the football at all. Baker Mayfield might have one of the worst throwing arms in terms of accuracy in the entire NFL. He also can't read defenses. He also is very reliant on RPOs. If you take away the RPO game for Baker Mayfield, he's not really much of any use. He's also not really fast either. He doesn't really move around the pocket well. So you're telling me that he's a guy that you can't run around really well, and the fact that he's not really accurate with the football, and the fact that Baker Mayfield is not a particularly big quarterback whatsoever. Baker Mayfield is 6'1", yet he plays like he's 5'1". And I say that because he always gets his balls batted down more often than not. When Baker Mayfield was in that quarterback for the Carolina Panthers, what happened? Baker Mayfield kept getting his balls batted down. Out of 521 quarterbacks that have been a part of the QBR system, Baker Mayfield ranked 520th out of 521 quarterbacks. Now, in that category where it consists of QBR, it's basically a combination of things. How well did you hand the ball off? How well did you throw the football? How well did you grade yourself out on each play? And in that season, which was last season for Baker Mayfield, out of 521 quarterbacks that have been able to be eligible of that stat sheet since 2006, Baker Mayfield ranked as the second worst quarterback in NFL history in terms of single season QBR. The only one that was even worse than him was Jimmy Clausen. Now, if you guys don't know who Jimmy Clausen was, he was ultimately the tank commander for the Carolina Panthers to get Cam Newton back in the 2010 NFL season. The point of the story is Baker Mayfield was god-awful for the Carolina Panthers last season. It's not even just about that stretch for the Panthers. Baker Mayfield has never shown you that he can carry a team on his own. And don't give me, oh, he had a great rookie year. Don't tell me he turned them from a 0-win team to a 7-win team, because of the fact that it's been over 5 years ago. It's so long ago, I have to say, who really cares? Over 5 years ago, Jared Goff was once called an elite quarterback. Who in the heck thinks Jared Goff is an elite quarterback nowadays? He might be a good quarterback, but he's definitely not elite. So don't give me this crap about 2018, about 40 big-time throws. He turned the Cleveland Browns from an 0-16 team to a 7-win team overnight, because ultimately, that film is just too long ago to even really count into that. I'm not saying that Baker Mayfield didn't have a good rookie year, but guess what? Daniel Jones also had a good rookie year. If I told you guys that Daniel Jones threw 24 touchdowns and he only threw 12 picks his rookie year, you guys would probably be surprised by that statistic. But yes, Daniel Jones was really good throwing the football his rookie year, and then he regressed the rest of his career. That's exactly what happened to Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield was actually a decent thrower of the football his rookie year, back when there was no tape on Baker Mayfield whatsoever. But Baker Mayfield since then has not shown progress throwing the football. And I remember in 2019, his second year in the NFL, there was so much hype around the Browns that offseason that everybody was screaming Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl. And they're talking about how Baker Mayfield, he's the second coming of Patrick Mahomes. And then he ended up throwing 21 interceptions in the second year. And don't give me, oh, OBJ was there. He ruined that chemistry, because OBJ's a Super Bowl champion now. OBJ was able to succeed with a washed up Eli Manning. OBJ was able to succeed with Matthew Stafford. Okay, so OBJ could definitely play in the National Football League. Don't give me OBJ held Baker Mayfield back. No, Baker Mayfield held OBJ back. And look, Baker Mayfield played well his third year, but who wouldn't have played well that that third year too. Okay, he had Nick Chubb, he had Kareem Hunt, he had Jarvis Landry, he had Austin Hooper, he had a top 3 offensive line, he had an elite defense, and he had the coach of the year in Kevin Stefanski, who couldn't do well in those circumstances. Blake Bortles could do well in those circumstances. Blake Bortles won 2 playoff games, so don't give me Baker Mayfield won a playoff game at Pittsburgh. Blake Bortles won 2 playoff games, and he also won a playoff game at Pittsburgh that year, where he was really good for Jacksonville in 2017. But guess what? Blake Bortles actually had a higher QBR than Baker Mayfield did against the Steelers. Blake Bortles had a 92 QBR against the Steelers in the 2017 playoffs. Baker Mayfield had a 91 QBR. So don't give me this, oh, Baker Mayfield was elite his 3rd year in the NFL. It's just not how it works. Baker Mayfield had a good 3rd year, but let's be honest, who wouldn't have been good under the circumstances that Baker Mayfield was in? I mean, Jesus, when you talk about Baker Mayfield, the weather's got to be 70 plus degrees. He's got to have a great running game. He's got to have an elite offensive line. He's got to have elite receivers. Oh, let's add in an elite defense. Let's talk about the amazing coaching. Let's just make every single factor go in Baker Mayfield's favor. And that's a luxury to have in the NFL. It's not a given that you're going to have those things. That is not something that is given to you in the NFL. What is given to you in the NFL is, okay, you better make sure that you can be able to elevate your supporting cast whatsoever. And then I want to talk about Baker Mayfield's final year on the Cleveland Browns. Baker Mayfield in his final year on the Browns played horrible, and he tried to play through injury. I get that he was trying to show that he was being a tough guy, but honestly, he was not helping himself when he entered on that football field, and Baker Mayfield was playing trash. You don't get credit for playing tough when you're playing garbage. You get credit for playing tough when you win, and Baker Mayfield wasn't winning those games despite the fact that he had Nick Chubb, despite the fact that he had Kareem Hunt, despite the fact that he still had Jarvis Landry, despite the fact that there was still Austin Hooper, David Njoku, and the defense was still doing really well, and he still had Kevin Stefanski. He still had all those factors going in his favor, but Baker Mayfield was still unable to perform. And then the Cleveland Browns are saying, you know what, that's enough. We're getting rid of you. You've proven that you're clearly not the guy and that you're nothing more than a poor man's version of Ryan Fitzpatrick. So he ends up going to the Carolina Panthers, and I made the mistake of believing in Baker Mayfield a little bit because I thought, okay, at least Baker Mayfield can be better than Sam Darnold. I'm not high on Baker Mayfield. I don't think he's going to be a good player whatsoever, but okay, he's got to be better than Sam Darnold, so I'll give this guy a chance. And then this guy stinks up the life out of the Carolina Panthers and plays horrible football. He ends up getting himself cut mid-season after 6 games where he played real awful for the Carolina Panthers. I mean, he was playing Jimmy Clausen level bad of football. That's how awful he was playing. I think he goes to the LA Rams. Okay, he gets a little bit better on the Rams, but hey, there was also Sean McVay on that Rams team. Any quarterback should be able to look decent under Sean McVay. He's a former #1 overall pick. Of course, Baker Mayfield was going to look improved with Sean McVay. If he couldn't improve under Sean McVay, he might as well should have just packed his bags and gotten out of the NFL and gone to Hollywood, because Baker Mayfield is a guy that believes that he has way too much ego in himself. He has the ego of Aaron Rodgers, but the talent level of Blake Bortles. That is a horrible combination to have in the quarterback position. And then now he's on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And why did I ramble on about Baker Mayfield's entire NFL career? Because that is the main thesis for why I believe he's going to do nothing on the Bucs but lose all these games, and he's going to end up sucking. Because you can say on the Bucs, he has Mike Evans, he has Chris Godwin, he has Ricard White, and he's got a coach that won a division title last season. But when you look at all those factors, you realize, wait, hold on, he's not going to get the luxury that he had on the Cleveland Browns. He's not going to have the luxury of a Sean McVay. Unless if the circumstances are perfect around Baker Mayfield, this guy is not going to show up whatsoever. And then I'm looking at this Bucs schedule to start off the year. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, they play a murderous road to start off the year. They play against a 13-win Vikings team in week 1 at Minnesota. That's going to be a tough game for Baker Mayfield to win. And then they play against the up-and-coming Bears. Justin Fields is definitely a better quarterback than Baker Mayfield. I get that Justin Fields hasn't won a lot of games in the NFL, but damn it, he's been able to show more explosiveness in his play style, far more than Baker Mayfield has ever been able to do so. At least Justin Fields has made bad football entertaining. Baker Mayfield can't even do that. And then they play against the defending NFC champs in the Philadelphia Eagles in week 3. And then they play against the division rival Saints in week 4. At best, this Bucs team is going to go 1-3 in the first 4 games. Now, I can tell you this. If Baker Mayfield starts off 0-4, he's definitely going to get benched for sure, considering the fact that the bye is in week 5 and Todd Bowles is going to be feeling like, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to do whatever it takes in order to save my job, which means that I'm going to have to kick Baker Mayfield out to the curb in order to save my job. I better get Kyle Trask in that lineup. Even though Kyle Trask might not be better than Baker Mayfield, well, Baker Mayfield has a history of getting coaches fired. So the switch might be made around week 5. It might be made around the bye week. If Baker Mayfield does go 1-3 in that stretch, I do see him being able to last through the bye week. He might even play a few more weeks afterwards. But after that Thursday night game that they play in week 8 against the Bills, where they're definitely going to lose to Josh Allen and the Bills, he's definitely going to get benched by then. Because I'm looking at the schedule schedule, I'm thinking this Bucs team could legitimately start at 1-7 to start out the year, because after the bye, they play against an up-and-coming Lions team. They're really good on offense. Defensively, they're still a work in progress, but if the defense takes a jump, then the Detroit Lions could become possible contenders in the NFC. And although the Detroit Lions may not have an elite defense, an average defense could look elite against Baker Mayfield, considering the fact that Baker Mayfield has one of the slowest release times in terms of throwing the football. So that might be a tough matchup for Baker Mayfield. Then they play against the division rival Falcons. That's a 50-50 game. I think the Falcons would beat the Bucs in that scenario. And then, of course, there's the Thursday night game against the Buffalo Bills on the road. That's going to be a tough game for Baker Mayfield to win. So I'm looking at that schedule. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, Baker Mayfield might not be able to win more than 1 or 2 games in that stretch to start off the year. And if that's the case, he's definitely going to get Todd Bowles fired, and he's going to get himself benched, as he will always be able to be an underachiever in the NFL. He's going to continue doing what he did for the Browns, Panthers, and Rams. Baker Mayfield cannot play consistent football in the NFL unless if you give him perfect surroundings. And since the Buccaneers don't have perfect surroundings around Baker Mayfield, that means he's going to struggle, and he's going to play some trash football for the Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield is on his final chance to be an NFL starter, or at least it should be. I can't believe that this bum of a quarterback has continued to get chance after chance after chance after chance at the quarterback position. I mean, at some point, he's got to be able to stop living off the notion that he was a former #1 overall pick and prove it on the football field, or otherwise get out of the NFL. I'm getting sick and tired of these people defending Baker Mayfield and acting like, oh my goodness, this dude is an elite quarterback, when in reality, this dude is just a backup quarterback in the NFL. He really ain't that much different from Teddy Bridgewater. He really ain't that much different from Case Keenum. He's a career backup, and that's what he should be. And teams need to stop giving this guy opportunities to succeed in the NFL, because this dude has clearly shown that he is not it in the NFL. Ultimately, though, I got the Buccaneers scoring 4-13 and getting the #2 overall pick. As for Todd Bowles, yeah, you're getting the pink slip. You're going to get fired by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. By naming Baker Mayfield your star, you just possibly committed career suicide with your coaching career, because Baker Mayfield gets every coach fired. There's a reason why coaches don't last a long time when Baker Mayfield is the quarterback. It's because Baker Mayfield is a coach killer. So that is why I am still not convinced in Baker Mayfield being able to have success with the Buccaneers, as they will finish their season with a 4-13 record. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking, like the video, and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I may shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That'll be for the @DustinTran Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram @DustinTran and that Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter @DustinTran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video, comment down below, check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel Sports Guy Talking.